Hello and welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for January 30th, Thursday. We are back. We got a 5-game slate. We're going to go over it. I'm your host, Tyler Wiemann at FlatTyler83 on your DFS sites and Twitter. Now, let's dive in. Check out what we got going. But before we do, come join us at LionStar. $39.99 per month gets you access to all we do. All the props, all the DFS. You get it all for one low price. And just so you know, this best ball, our baseball model, should be out fairly soon. We're working on it now to get it up so you can start drafting those best ball teams too. Now, let's dive in here. Starting with point guard. Our highest owned on the slate on FanDuel is Austin Reeves, 40% owned. No surprise here. Great matchup versus Washington. There's no AD, so he gets a big bump up. Play Austin Reeves. I'm going to have a bunch of them. Fred VanVleet, 6,800, 25% owned. He is in a matchup versus the Grizzlies. I do really like this game from a DFS standpoint, and I do feel like it's going a little underbid owned. However, Fred VanVleet is a piece that I think is going over-owned in this spot. I am probably not going to have very much Fred VanVleet. I may have a little bit as a little bit of a hedge. But all in all, I'm not going hard here. I don't love the spot. His price is getting very, very nice at $6,800, but because we do know the ceiling is there, but I don't love the spot for him. Mike Conley, 4,900, 24% owned. It's a great spot versus the Utah Jazz, obviously, who are 23rd overall versus the point guard. So I don't mind going here. Another thing is he's playing 28 minutes a game right now. At least that's what he did over the last 5 versus over the last 25 minutes a game in his starts. In 3 of the last 5 games, he's played 30-plus minutes. They are going to Conley a little bit. He is safe. He's a very safe 5X. And he can definitely go 6, 7, 8X if he gets it going. So I don't mind a little Conley. Jordan Poole, 7,600. Man, Poole sold yesterday. I mean, 9 field goal attempts in a great spot. And the Wizards just got absolutely rolled. It hurt. Going back to Poole in this spot versus the Lakers, I don't totally love it. But, I mean, to each their own. Ty Jerome, 5,100, 16% owned. Great spot versus the Hawks. Now, Garland is going to be back. He only sat for rest, so Garland's going to be back. We can't expect 30 minutes, but it is a very plus matchup, and he's averaging 1.12 fantasy points per minute. If he gets 24-plus minutes, which he very well could, we are in a situation where there's no Wade, no Okoro. And with that, you know, they got Strus at the 3 now. He's healthy enough to play some decent minutes here, but they're still limited with their wings and, you know, point guards there. The other thing is Sam Merrill is questionable. If Merrill is out, there's just more likelihood of Ty Jerome getting some minutes. I don't like where his price is. I got to throw out that. I think his price is too high, but I'm probably going to get to some Ty Jerome, unfortunately. Next pivot, we got Ja Morant, 8,300, 9% owned. I've said I like this game versus Houston, and Ja has big-time upside. Even in these limited minutes where he's playing, you know, 32-ish minutes a game, or 28 to 30, he's showing upside of, you know, close to 50, and he's 8,300. I don't mind getting there. If this game's close and he's playing well, he's going to get a couple extra minutes. We have him at 32 minutes for tonight, and I don't mind it. At low ownership in a game I like, I'm there. Point guard on DraftKings, we got Bub Carrington, Carlton Carrington, 3,700, 31% owned. He's just coming up because he's cheap, and right now there's not much value. So I don't think he's going to end up this high owned, And I don't particularly like him unless more value opens. 4,400 for Ty Jerome is too cheap. I would be on that. Anthony Edwards, 9,500 is a bit too expensive for me, even in a very good spot. But frankly, he hasn't been great this season. Been much better lately, but I mean, we're going to need high 50s, and I just don't really love the spot for him for that. On to shooting guard on FanDuel, we got Max Christie, Austin Reeves, and a E. Max Christie at 4,200 right now is my favorite value play on this slate. There's no Anthony Edwards. He tends to get a little bit more run when a starter is out. We have other spots on the Lakers that we have guys questionable, so there's potential for solid minutes here, and he gets a big boost up without AD. He goes from 0.64 fantasy points per minute up to like 0.8, so it's a dramatic increase. And if that shot's falling, we've seen a solid ceiling there, and he can get you some steals and blocks versus a poor Wizards team. I like it. The other thing is LeBron's questionable, so if LeBron is out, then you even like Christie even more. And pivot time. Amen Thompson, 8,600. I got to keep going back. I mean, he's 8,600. He's been living right around 50, in the 40s constantly. He's a safe bet for 40, but we have a 60-point ceiling in a game I like. I just think this game is going a little under-owned for the ceiling. It's a high total. The score is close. This is one that I think could really bring some fantasy goodness. And then on the other side of that, I like Jalen Green, 7,100. Only issue here is he's pretty boom bust based on scoring. Scoring-wise, it hasn't really been happening lately, but only like a week and a half ago, the guy was hot, just continually being mid-40s. And like I said, during this whole run, the biggest bump up to no Jabari Smith is for Jalen Green. I like Jalen Green. At this price, I'm still going to him a little bit, at least on a 5-game slate. I think he's going a little under-owned if he's only 8%. Shooting guard on DK, we got Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He is cheap. That's the only reason he's really popping up, but he should get some minutes. Had a big game last game. 26 minutes is what we have him for. There's not much value. I'm fine with it right now. If more value opens up, I'm probably coming off Carrington, Edwards, covered them. Getting over to small forward on FanDuel. LeBron James, 53% owned, or 5.3x, 10.1K, 40% owned. No AD. Expectation is he picks up a ton of usage. That's just kind of how it works. However, I do have to say from the numbers this year, it looks like Austin Reeves is the one that really picks up the usage, and LeBron stays around the same, and there's just more focus on him as far as the defense as he becomes the main focus and not Anthony Davis. So I think that is an interesting thing, but we're going against the Washington Wizards. LeBron can absolutely cook this team. This Washington Wizards team is horrendous. Like, there's bad basketball, and then there's the Washington Wizards. They are that bad. I'm fine if you want to play LeBron. My one thing with LeBron is, and it's always this, is he just doesn't have a huge ceiling. He has crazy consistency. Rarely do we really see a ceiling game like this game against Atlanta, and it took him 43 minutes. We're not seeing 43 minutes. Can we see a 60 burger out of him? Yes. I just don't think it's that likely, but it's a great matchup versus the Wizards, so I don't mind some of them. Edwards, we covered 4,600 for Dylan Brooks. Like I said, there's a limited value right now, even with Anthony Edwards out, and if you want to go to some Brooks, the ceiling is there. I just don't love it. I think he's just priced a little bit high for this matchup. And pivot time, Paolo Banchero, 8,500. He played 44 minutes last game, 40 minutes the game before that. So his minutes are back. We can expect big-time minutes now. Good spot versus the Trailblazers. Surprisingly, it's only a 5.5-point game. So Banchero might have to get his full run here against a poor Trailblazers team. I don't mind getting a lot of Banchero with the ceiling that he has at that price. Desmond Bane, 7,500. He's another spot where I like this Grizzlies guy with, in some sort of a game stack. I think Jaren Jackson is my favorite of the Grizzlies, but Desmond Bane is definitely up there. Been very consistent around 40 and does have a ceiling if that shot's falling. Also, Ja is questionable. However, Ja was present at shoot-around, but if Ja is out, Bane is going to look real good. Franz Wagner, 8K. Low owned, went for 40 minutes last game, 30 the game before that. I think we can expect 32 plus, and I mean, we know he can do it. He had that huge run when Banchero was out. Banchero's back, so we can't exactly expect those type of numbers, but he can still be a, one high 1 point teens type guy or 1.2 type guy. Then Terry Eason, 5,600. He sat last game as the second game back-to-back. He is back tonight. It's only a 5-game slate. With the 5-game slate, we're going to have to find some sort of bench guy that is able to come off the bench and go nuts. Eason, I think, is in a good spot to do that. We know he has a huge ceiling. He's a high fantasy point per minute guy. And it's versus a Grizzlies team that likes to get up and down the court with a 107.5 pace. So I think it's a very interesting spot for these Rocket players, and Eason's one of the ones I'm going to take some chances on low ownership. Small forward, Jaden Daniels and Max Strus. That is small forward on DraftKings. Jaden Daniels, 5,500. I'm fine to go here again. It's a very good matchup versus the Jazz. He's been playing big minutes and playing well. I'm going to take my chances on him. Strus at 4,500. I'm fine having a little bit. He's playing decent minutes now. And, with Garland back, maybe dips down to 28, 30 minutes, something like that. But at 4,500, I'm fine to take the chance. He can absolutely get 30 plus, and that does it for you. Rui Hachimura back and only played 24 minutes last game. A little worried about how many minutes he could play in this game, but with no AD, he generally does pick up a little bit of slack there. And power forward on FanDuel, we got LeBron, we got Kyle Kuzma, and Jaden Daniels. 6,500 for Kuz is cheap. He is going back to LA, where he's done well in the past. When he's gone there, I don't mind a little bit of him. My issue here is this dude just has not been anything like he was last year. Hard to really want to go have too much of him. Jaden McDaniel's been playing very well. I think 6K is a lot for him. So I'm not getting a ton of them on FD, but I don't mind a little bit. Pivot-wise, we got Banchero, Naz Reid, 5,800. This is a very, very similar play to Terry Eason. Now, Reid isn't quite as good from a fantasy per minute standpoint as Eason, but his minutes have seemed to be more secure. 28 minutes a game over the last 5, 26 minutes a game over the last 20. If he's playing 26, 27, 28 minutes, 5,800 with the ceiling that he has, it's a little interesting, especially when I am all for fading Rudy Gobert on this slate. Jaren Jackson, 8,400, just a giant ceiling for this dude, and now he's in a good spot versus the Rockets. He does get a big bump up according to our team defense tool, and once again, game that I like. And everybody else we've covered on the pivot list here. So power forward on DK, LeBron, Kuzma, Randall. I'm not a Randall fan. He's been playing well lately, though, and it's a good spot versus the Jazz, so I don't mind getting some of him there. And on to center on FanDuel. Jonas Valanciunas, once again, is going to be the chalk center play of the night. He only played 23 minutes. He had foul trouble in the first half, and then they just got absolutely torched. I would expect him to play 25, 26 minutes, something like that. He's averaging 25 minutes over his last 20 starts and 33.12 fantasy points per game in his starts. I'm going to get some Joe Val. I hate it, but without a AD and him going against Jackson Hayes, I think he can absolutely cook Hayes. So I'm going to get some of them. It's not fun. Evan Mobley, 19% owned. I think that's about where he should be, and I'm going to get some of him versus this Hawks team. The issue, though, with, the Cavs in this spot is they're just a good team. They don't play a ton of minutes because they don't have to. They're blowing teams out repeatedly, and most likely this is a spot where it's another blowout. Naz Reid we covered, Jaren Jackson we covered, and center on DraftKings we got Jonas Valanciunas, 5,700. He should be the chalk. After him we got Rudy Gobert, 5,600, and I'm not here. He has just been a shell of himself. 0.88 fantasy points per minute over the last 20. A little bit better lately with 0.95, but it's an okay spot. If you want to get to some Rudy, he is a nice pivot off Jonas Valanciunas, but and I wouldn't say it's that big of a surprise if at the end of the day Rudy ends up outscoring Valanciunas, just because Valanciunas does have so much variance in his minutes. If Joe Val gets the minutes, though, I way would rather him than Rudy Gobert. So that'll do it for us today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. And we'll be back tomorrow with another big slate. You guys have a good one. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.